I used to live in Fayetteville, Georgia, and part of me still misses that city. There are so many great things about living in Fayetteville and in Fayette County. There's some things in that area that you really can't find in other parts of Metro Atlanta, but there's also a part of me that would never move back to Fayetteville or to anywhere in Fayette County. There's some really great things about living in the north side of Metro Atlanta that you really can't find in some of these south side cities like Fayetteville. So let's talk about what it's like to live in Fayetteville and who is moving to Fayetteville and what the biggest draws are. But let's also talk about why I moved away. What's up, y'all? My name is Victor with Atlanta Suburban Living, and we put out videos every week about what it's like to live in Atlanta and the surrounding suburbs. Fayetteville is on the south side of Metro Atlanta, and it's kind of a little bit to the west, southwest area. And this is a really popular place to live for a lot of reasons. Some of the main roads that go through Fayetteville are highways 85 and 54. In fact, the town center, or like the downtown part of Fayetteville, is at the intersection of 54 and 85. And so these are like the roads that everybody who lives in Fayetteville often refers to. Like if you're going to refer to, where you go, you kind of use 85 and 54, like it's off of 54 or it's off of 85, a few miles down 54. These are the most prominent roads or the most used roads in Fayetteville. So everybody knows where these roads are. And then the downtown area in Fayetteville is really good. They've really done a lot of great things in that downtown area, new stores and new restaurants, and kind of a bit of a revitalizing in the downtown area. But the truth is, it still is not quite as popular or as easily walkable as some of the other suburbs of Metro Atlanta. But that's not really the reason why I moved away. I mean, you can find good downtown areas and bad downtown areas all over Metro Atlanta. And relatively speaking, Fayetteville's is pretty good. They still have a pretty cool or pretty popular downtown area there. One thing that I definitely miss about Fayetteville is the people there and the culture and the vibe. Everybody is so friendly there, and that kind of southern hospitality that you would expect in Georgia is really heavy here in Fayetteville. It's a super nice place to be, a very family friendly kind of environment. People are still very polite and respectful in Fayetteville. In fact, I would think that it's probably a bit more common in the south side of Metro Atlanta than the north side. And so you'll see, as I'm describing Fayetteville and why I left Fayetteville, a lot of it has to do with the differences between living on the north side of Metro Atlanta and living on the south side. And that kind of southern hospitality, I think, is far more apparent on the south side, especially in cities like Fayetteville. Fayetteville's a very old city, and as we have said in many videos on this channel, some of the oldest parts of Metro Atlanta were established because of the railroad. And so Fayetteville is one of those suburbs where the railroad used to go through that city. I think it still does go through that city, but that's where the origins of Fayetteville come from. And so what that really means is that it has that kind of historic feel. And also that means that the people who live in Fayetteville take a lot of pride for their city. People really take care of the city. People are looking out for their neighbors, and the community aspect of living in Fayetteville is very strong, stronger than some of the other suburbs, because there's really a lot of people who have lived there for a long time, and they're trying to make sure that their city is well taken care of. And so Fayetteville, for that reason, is a great suburb. As soon as you go there and you talk to some of the folks who live in Fayetteville, you really start to see that that kind of community and neighborly aspect is really one of the best parts about living in Fayetteville, Georgia. Now, one of the biggest differences between living on the north side of Metro Atlanta and the south side is the public school districts. In general, we see that the public schools in the north are much better than the public schools on the south, but Fayetteville is kind of the exception for the rule. The schools in Fayetteville are some of the best in all of Metro Atlanta, especially on the south side. Everybody who lives in Fayetteville knows that there are some of the best public schools there. If you're thinking about moving to Fayetteville or any part of Metro Atlanta, feel free to call, text, or email me anytime. Even if you just have have any questions about what it's like to live here in Fayetteville or Peachtree City or Atlanta or anywhere, I'm so thankful for everybody who reaches out to me on a daily and weekly basis. I'm happy to help with any questions that you have about living here. And so while the schools on the south side are not quite as good as the north side, that's not the reason why I moved to the north side. Again, Fayetteville has great public schools, and many people come to Fayetteville looking for the great public school districts because they want their kids or their students to go to an excellent public school. One more thing about why Fayetteville is such a great city, and then I want to tell you about why I moved away. One of the things that makes a lot of people come to Fayetteville are the homes and the home prices here. When it comes to the average cost of living in Metro Atlanta, Fayetteville is one of the best suburbs for that. You can really find super affordable homes in Fayetteville, and Fayetteville is still a good city. It's not like an area where there's a lot of crime and the schools suck and like you can find a lot of affordable homes. Yeah, like no shit, you can find great homes in those terrible areas. But in Fayetteville, it's a great city and you can still find affordable homes there. And so this is one thing that brings a lot of people to the area. In fact, what I have noticed is that the farther north you go on Highway 85, the more affordable the homes become and the more densely populated a little bit the area becomes. And then the more east you go on Highway 54, again, more affordable, but more densely populated. So the opposite is also true. The farther south you go on Highway 85, the more expensive the homes become, but it becomes a little less densely populated, a bit more rural. And then the same for going west on Highway 54. As you get closer to Peachtree City, the homes become a bit more expensive, but the area becomes a bit nicer, less densely populated. And so this is kind of the thing that marks Fayetteville. As you get farther away from the center of Fayetteville, going south or west, you see that the area becomes a little bit nicer. Not a very big difference. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that the north or east part of Fayetteville is terrible. It's still a very good suburb, but it's a small difference when you start going southwest in Fayetteville and you get to a more rural area and the homes become a bit more expensive. Now, let's talk about why I moved away from Fayetteville, because you should know that the majority of people who live in Metro Atlanta live on the north side. In general, the north side suburbs tend to be more populated than the south side suburbs. And while you can find more affordable homes on the south side, it's just kind of generally seen as a nicer area on the north side, where the schools are a little bit better, the crime is a little bit lower. Again, very small differences here, but this is kind of what the general feel of many people who live in Metro Atlanta is, that the crime is a little lower, the schools are a little better on the north side. And so this was true for me and my family as well. My wife and I really decided the best place for our family was one of the north side suburbs. Now I live in Marietta, and this is very similar to Fayetteville, but as many people would say, Marietta is a bit nicer maybe than Fayetteville. Maybe I'm a bit biased, but I definitely like Marietta a lot better than Fayetteville. Another thing is that like the availability for jobs, employers, industry is much bigger on the north side. So far more job opportunities on the north side. And then as a self-employed person, the amount of business is just more readily available on the north side because there's more people there. There's more economy. There is a higher household income in the north side of Metro Atlanta. So for all of these reasons, many people choose to live on the north side than the south side. And then, of course, many of the suburbs like Alpharetta or Johns Creek or Suwanee, you're also going to be able to find great public schools. So this is one of the reasons why we decided to move away from Fayetteville. Another big thing is that Fayetteville is, again, a very old city established from the railroad, but this also means that the infrastructure for Fayetteville is very outdated. So this kind of creates a bit of a problem for some people who live in Fayetteville. You get power lines that sometimes go down from simple rainstorms, not even like bad storms. Just a simple windy day can sometimes cause power line poles to fall over and cause power outages for an entire neighborhood. Or maybe like you lose internet or something, like God forbid we lose internet. That's the most important thing. We can't lose that, but this sometimes happens in Fayetteville because of the outdated infrastructure. I think there's probably even some parts of Fayetteville that don't have high-speed internet. You're still working with like cable internet, not high-speed fiber internet. So that cable internet you might get, I don't know what it is, 4, 8, 16 megabytes a download speed per second, or whatever it is, that it's not quite as good as the north side where more of the homes have that fiber internet. But again, there are some really great things about Fayetteville that you can't find in the north side, and the best way to get a feel for the city and really understand what Fayetteville is like is to walk through the downtown area. So I've made an entire video where I went on a tour of the city. We walked through downtown, kind of showing you the different parts of the downtown area. If you want to check out that video, you can see it right here. I'll see you in the next one.